Welcome to Savvy Offer Hub, a podcast created to help you to scale your business with digital products, step by step in a way that works for you. My name is Eva, and I'm here to bring you years of behind-the-scenes experience with no fluff, unfiltered thoughts on all things related to online courses and creating the business you will love. Messy action, simplicity, and living the life you desire is what we're here for. Last week, I did a thing. I created a new online offer within just 5 days. And I have to say that these days I'm really on a roll with product creation, with content creation. I'm just really getting back in the groove as this year started rather slow for me and I couldn't find that inspiration to do pretty much anything really, and I wanted to stay away from social media. I wanted to stay away from creating new content, and I wouldn't say I was burnt out, but I was just a bit tired of kind of doing the same thing all over again. So now when I got that motivation back and when I got that spark back, I kind of just jumped right into it, and so many different things have happened ever since. One of them is the fact that I started the podcast, right? I have also been creating a lot of content on social media. I've been writing a lot more emails. I've been creating a lot more content for the membership, as well as this new course that I'm going to be talking about in this specific episode. Plus, along with that, I'm also currently planning for the new bootcamp that will start in September. So I usually do a live course creation bootcamp that lasts around 3 months. The timing depends from year to year. But this year, I'm actually inspired to revamp the whole idea and put a bit of a different shift on it. So I'm going to be talking a lot more about it in the following episodes as well. But we'll get there. For now, let's focus on that course I created last week. And the reason why I want to talk with you about it is because last week, I created this course in just 5 days. And I want to bring you behind the scenes of how exactly that happened. And this is not to specifically tell you to do the same, or it's not even my goal to inspire you to just, now create a course within 5 days. Obviously, I've been doing this for years, so I have some of these to-dos well established, so I know what I'm gonna do and how I'm gonna do it. So the process is a lot easier. But I do want to bring you behind the scenes because jumping for that inspiration, it literally was like a small trigger in me. I think it happened Sunday, before the Monday that I started. On Sunday, I was like, yes, I really want to get this idea out there. And I'm not the one to usually pre-plan. I don't really like planning things too far in advance. So I'm not the person to think about something now and then put it in my schedule for later. When I have a new idea, I have to make it happen. If I feel inspired, if I feel that drive for it, and if I feel that inner nudge, I will start working on it as soon as possible. And it's not always a full course. It doesn't always mean that I do all my courses within a week. But this time I actually made it like a challenge for myself. So these days have been pretty busy and I'm also preparing for some time off. So there's a lot happening in my world. And I just knew that if I'm going to be postponing this, we might be looking at late July or maybe even September. And in September, my new program is going to start. So probably December when this might come out. So I just had to make it happen now. There definitely are pros and cons to following this sudden need for creating something. And I would say that if you are solid in your business and you know your audience, you know what your audience wants, and you know that the product or offer that you might create will actually be profitable, you can definitely follow that urge. But if you are more in the beginning stages where you're still trying to feel it all out, you can also benefit from creating smaller products fast. But there definitely is a bit more thought work that goes into it, so you just don't end up wasting your own time along the way, right? So that being said, I do want to bring you behind the scenes of how exactly that happened and bringing us back to that Sunday when it all started. I think it was Sunday when I had this idea that I want to make it happen. And the concept, the thought about this kind of a product, it's technically a mini course, so it doesn't have too many lessons. It has 5 20-minute videos, but it's very, very in-depth and there's a lot of information in each of these videos. Either way, the concept itself, it was already on my mind for a while. And I didn't have any base content. I didn't know what is gonna go into the course, but I just had that overall idea about creating a course around this topic. Okay, let's cycle back to that Sunday or the weekend when the idea came. My idea then was that I'm gonna be creating this course in 5 days. I set it as a goal for myself, and I also announced it publicly that within 5 days a new course is gonna be launched. So Monday was the first day when I started working on the content. I usually do this in Google Docs depending on how extensive the content is gonna be and how much I want to draft it, because sometimes I just put the content directly in the slides. But this time around, I wanted to just draft it in the document first to see how big this idea is and how exactly I'm gonna shape it, because I didn't really have a curriculum in mind just yet. I just knew some of the topics I want to discuss, and as I started writing bullet points for each of the topics, that helped me to clarify if each of these topics can be just one separate lesson, or will I want to go more in depth and actually expand these topics within more smaller lessons. Now here's something that most course creators will be familiar with. After the first day, so when I had the content mostly written out, I knew exactly what is gonna go in the course. I was very excited. I couldn't wait to get it done, right? And then the second day, when I came back to the content, I got into the overthinking phase. And this is so common. And I feel like it's almost just like a part of the course creation process. It's not something you can avoid per se. There's gonna be a point in the process when you are working on your content and either nothing feels good enough and you just want to revamp the whole thing, or you just want to keep adding and adding and adding and adding. So there's always more you want to add. And it is a challenging quest. It definitely is a challenging quest. Even though I have been creating courses for years, I still get stuck in that phase of overthinking. And I still find myself wanting to do one or the other. Either scratch everything and start from zero, or just add more. For me, what helps here is, first of all, having a very clear goal. Why am I creating this course? Who is this course for? And what was the initial thought about it? So when I first made it, when I first wrote out like all the curriculum and decided what is going to go into each of the lessons, I did it with some kind of a purpose in mind, right? And when I start to overthink, I like to circle back to that purpose and just remind myself why initially that course was the way it was. Mostly this overthinking part happens because I drift off from that goal and I start to think about too many different people. I start to consider too many different potential enrollments. So what if somebody who is not my ideal student enrolls and they do not have the base knowledge that I expect for them to have? What then? I need to add more lessons, right? So this is how like that thought pattern usually happens, even if I don't recognize it at first. The reason for adding more is rarely because there wasn't enough information. It's just because I start to overthink everything about the course. So what I need to do is just clarify it again, circle back to the very beginning and remember why I started working on this, what was my goal, what was my thought process, and stick with that, because that was the original idea for the course. And if I continue going down the path of like exploring, there are just so many different variations I can go for, so many different courses, so many different types of products, so many different topics. I could be adding so many more lessons, right? But I want to avoid that. I want to make sure that I have the clarity and that I stick with my plan. So I circle back to that initial vision, and then I review my content again with that thought in mind. Because ultimately, it's always the key goal to give my audience the chance to learn what they have to learn in the quickest way possible. And that was also the initial thought behind creating this course. It goes into very in-depth and like very important topics. We're talking about evergreen content, we're talking about email marketing, we're talking about Pinterest. And all of these topics could be courses on their own. But when I got into the process of creating this offer, I wanted to be very clear that this is going to be a deep dive, but we're doing it quickly. We're not here to procrastinate. We're not here to get lost in like so much content that you don't really see the end of it. The opposite was something I was going for. I wanted to provide all of this information that can have long-lasting effects, that can literally cause you to have new leads coming into your business every single day, only if you follow these steps. So day number 1 was the content creation, and day number 2 was slide design. So in the perfect world, I would have done probably most of my slides in that second day, but as I kept authoring my content, I kept going back to the curriculum and like thinking back and forth. So I did waste a bit more time on that. And I did start working on the slides. I do have like slide templates that I always reuse. And if you are about to create an online course, or you know for a fact that you're going to be creating several different products, make sure to also just have that one template that you can reuse. And it doesn't matter how extensive is that template. It doesn't matter if you have 20 slide designs there or you have 100. You can definitely just start with whatever you have and then expand it along with your content. So for me, I do have a slide template. I've been reusing it for quite some time, and yeah, I absolutely love it. I just always improve it bit by bit. If there's something I want to change, I change. If there's something course specific or the offer specific that I will want to put in there, I will do that. But ultimately, I've been working with the same template for like forever right now. And by the way, this is probably a whole another episode, but the branding, getting to the point where I have branded myself in a way that works really well for me. It was a challenging journey for me to actually get there. And for years, like the first 5 years in my business, I kept rebranding myself all the time. And now the current brand that you see online, that you see everywhere, I have had it solid for probably like 3 or 4 years. And I have been going back and forth as well within these years with like some small details or like some small changes. The best way to see this is if you go to my Instagram at Course Creation Lab and you like just scroll through it, you will literally see the evolution of my brand. You will see how it has changed like in the past few months and in years, and where there have been phases where I was like trying out something else and so on. Either way, back to the slide template we go. So the original idea was to work on the curriculum the first day, then work on the slides the next day, and record videos the third day. But all the days kind of started overlapping as I did work more on the curriculum. So on Tuesday, I did slides for 2 lessons, and on Wednesday, I did the rest. But Wednesday was already the recording day. It was supposed to be recording day. So it started to like all overlap, and I did start to slightly panic, I think, on Wednesday that I'm just not gonna make it through. But I mean, it was just my own challenge, right? So if at that point I would have decided to like postpone the launch or like make it Monday or Tuesday next week, whatever is the case, or give myself another extra week, I would have done it. And I don't feel like bad about giving myself more time if that's the case. But I was also enjoying the process. I was enjoying the challenge. And I was like, no, I did make this challenge for myself. You know, I decided to do it myself. I can make it. So on Wednesday, I finalized the rest of the slides and I started recording. Now, when it comes to recording, I record most of my course and membership videos with the voiceover. This means that there are slides and there's voiceover, there's no me on the screen. And I do this for several reasons. First of all, it's just way simpler, way faster for me. I don't have to overthink it, and I do overthink it when I have to show up. So I will start to think about the light, about how I look like, how I act like, and so on. And when I speak, I'm very, very expressive, so my hands are going all over the place. And sometimes when I do the talking head, so when I have myself on the screen somewhere along with the presentation, I will find it very, very distracting for the students as well, that I just keep throwing my hands around all the time. And I understand that it's not always the case, but for me, it's another aspect that I always keep in mind. And another reason why I do this is because I can always update everything way more easily. I do have another podcast episode about recording videos where I talk a bit more about this as well, so you can check it out too. I believe it's episode maybe number 6. It's definitely one of the earlier ones. So getting back to our timeline and our schedule. So yeah, I was about to record my videos. So Wednesday, Thursday was for recording, and I also want to talk about editing. So I'm not the type of person, as much as I would love to be, I'm not the type of person who can sit down and record anything in one go. And believe me, I have tried. I don't know if it's because English is not my first language, or it's because I need some, I don't know, vocal training or something, because I often run out of breath. Either way, there are moments when I just need a break. I need a break either from talking, or I need a break to gather my thoughts. I do this when I'm recording podcasts. I do this when I'm recording any course or membership materials. I always give myself the freedom to pause if I need to pause. And if there was a part of the journey where I'm talking, and my words are running ahead of me, and suddenly I have, that feeling when you talk so much that you suddenly almost wake up in the middle of the sentence and you're like, I have no clue where this was going. So I have a lot of these moments, and if that's the case, I will just re-record that part again. And yes, am I wasting time doing this? Probably. Could it be done a lot faster if I don't edit and if I just record everything in one go? Absolutely. But over years, I have found that giving myself this freedom to pause and do the edit instead definitely works better for me. So as I was recording the content, I knew that I will be doing editing too. And another thing, as you're listening to this, you might be thinking is she not outsourcing anything? And the thing is that when it comes to my own products, I create them because I love the process. I actually love showing up for my own content, and as much as I can, I'm gonna always be the one creating everything for it. When it comes to slides, I'm an absolute control freak, and as a designer myself, I just love designing my own slides. When it comes to editing, yes, that's the part where I probably could be outsourcing it because it can take some time. But at the same time, I also love to rewatch the whole lesson or, listen to the whole episode just to make sure that it's up to the level where I want it to be before I hit publish. And if it's not, I will be more than happy to actually redo it again. So yes, I do most of this work myself whenever I can, and unless I'm super crazy busy. If I am busy, then I probably will just opt in for postponing the project rather than outsourcing. Okay, where are we left? We're left at the editing part. I'm doing the editing for the videos myself as well. And the thing is that I'm doing very, very simple edits. So the platform I use is called Clipchamp. It's absolutely free. And I used to use professional editing softwares, but I don't anymore. I don't see any need for it, especially since I'm not doing any extra edits. I really just want to make the cuts. Now we are approaching the finish line, and the last bits I had to do was set up the sales page and make sure that everything is set up on the platform. So this is another thing that I can do rather quickly because I have well-established templates. I know what I'm going to write on the sales page. And especially if I have to do it quickly, which as I mentioned earlier, I often do these kind of quick projects where I just want to really get it out there. If I have to do it quickly, I will make the sales page shorter, and later I can go back in there and expand it. So not to overwhelm myself, I will start with a simpler version, which is also something I did right now. I create my sales pages on my own website, so I just reuse one template, create the page, connect it to the course platform, and we are good to go. And that's exactly what happened. This was probably the shortest, the quickest thing to do. It was the easiest part of the whole journey. And by Friday, I was actually ready to launch. So through the Friday, I believe I was like still editing probably the last video, and I was still making sure everything is connected on the sales page. And as for the launch, so my goal was not to specifically have everything launch ready per se on Friday. Yes, I wanted for the content to be out there, but when it comes to actual launch materials, I haven't had put any thought in it. So what I did on Friday was just post a story where I said, hey, the product is here. Because one of the things I did through this week was bringing you behind the scenes of the process. If you go on my Instagram, you will see some of the reels that I have posted about the process of creating this product in 5 days. So that was almost like a pre-launch for me. As I started talking about it, I was raising awareness, I was raising interest in the product. And then as the Friday came, most people already knew what I'm talking about. So what is the product, what it's all about, and so on. Even though I didn't mention what it's about specifically, but I was raising the interest in this new offer, and there was a good traction on that Friday when I just posted one link. And then when the Monday came, I became a bit more intentional about talking about it and sharing some more details, which is what I did through the emails, stories, posts. And as this is the type of a product that I want to include in my membership, I have decided to offer it out of the membership for only limited time only, because I don't really do these separate courses anymore at all. Everything I do goes in the membership. So if you want to get the course separately, you can do it until July. But if you happen to listen to this later, you will find it inside the Savvy Offer Hub membership. And below this, you will find all the relevant links. Now to wrap it all up, I just have to say that for me it was really exciting. For me, that drive to make it happen, it really motivates me and it brings more inspiration. So even though it was stressful at times and I really had a very busy week, because besides this, I was still doing some other things as well. Plus I'm preparing for some time off, so I have like some extra things to do before that as well. It was like all happening at the same time, but that really inspires me. And when it comes to like short bursts of time, like 1 week, 5 days, or even 3 days, when I set my mind to making something happen, I love to invest that extra time to getting it to the finish line, because that satisfaction of seeing a finalized product so fast, it's just really amazing. So that's really my main takeaway. If you want to create your own offers and you are curious about the exact steps to take, you will find all of these details inside the Savvy Offer Hub membership. You can literally find all the tools and platforms and every step along the way. I go into all of these topics in depth inside there. So if you want to join, you can definitely check out the link in the description. I hope this episode inspired you to potentially kickstart some fun projects for yourself as well. And if you have any feedback or any suggestions for the future episodes, definitely reach out to me and let me know. Thank you for being here today, and I'll see you in the next episode.